Hi everyone, Dragonfly here, and today I thought I'll be looking at this. This is Kobu from the Sakura Wars franchise, and yeah, this is a new model kit released by Bandai just this February, and as you can see, it's a high grade model, 1/20th scale, and in terms of price, it's a little bit higher than your average high grade, which it's still a high grade, so. A lot of people might have some reservations about like whether to get it or not, and I did it purely for sentimental value. Sakura Wars was like a series that's over 20 years old, something that we grew up with, and yeah, as many of you probably who own a Sega Saturn, it's one of those games on a Sega Saturn it just holds like a bit of nostalgia value. And for Bandai to recently just re-release it because they're releasing the new Sakura Wars anime and game, and just for them to actually pay some notice to this, I think that's great. I'm gonna get it anyways, and I guess we'll take a look as to whether it's worth it or not, because after all, this is about like at least 3,500 yen-ish, which is about like $35 US, which is around 40 something dollars Canadian. It's a pricier high grade, and given the size, it's not really a big box, so it's not really anything large in terms of size. So we're gonna see whether it's worth it or not, or is it just like nostalgia value. And yeah, let's go ahead and open the box up, which I already did actually. I took all the parts out of the plastic bags that they're in, but I haven't started assembling it anyway, so I can still show you guys what you're expecting, just minus the plastic bags inside. So we have obviously the manual, looks pretty old school, and minus the 3D imaging inside, which that's the new thing Bandai has been doing. And yeah, you can see all the parts. Ooh, looks like they actually have inner structure, which usually you don't find these with HG, so that might be an added value. But just in terms of sheer pieces, they don't have that much piece to begin with. I mean, Kobu as like a mecha, it runs on Steam. It's like Steam whatever magic powered, so it's not really big, it's not really complex. Range of motion wasn't really that much to begin with. We joke call it like a gigantic pumpkin or a gourd, because come on, look at it. But still, it's fun. It fits the like steampunk kind of style of the show. And well, we have the scope of the pilot, Okami Ichio, and they don't have legs or arms for it, but I guess this is inside the model, so that's not really that necessary. And those are the inner structure and all the gray parts, white parts, which are, I think, the legs and the outer shell. Yep, that's definitely the outer shell. These are the legs and exhaust pipe, or at least half the exhaust pipe, and then polycap joints, pretty standard for Bandai. And yeah, these are the like colored tree, four colored tree that Bandai somehow experimented with, and it's nothing too like complex or experimental. They also give you wires, one for the outside for the holes on the actual machine, and one for the inside cockpit. Also, there's some foil stickers, that's for the inside, as well as, oh, they actually have a 3D kind of bead sticker for the cameras, and actual stickers for the eye, and these are water slides, so you soak them in water and take it out and stick it on. And like a brief instruction on how to put things together. I mean, if you have experience just putting any model together, you don't really need to pay too much attention to it, but like for a first timer, you definitely want to take a look. And yeah, okay, I'm gonna get rid of the box, and Let's begin. So, first of all, for those of you that probably don't have much experience with building any kind of model, just go along the instruction and you'll be fine. Like, follow instruction step by step. But for me, I tend to skip steps a little bit, mainly because I've been building this for a pretty long time. Maybe you might be able to see how much paint I got, like all different kind of paint. So just gonna do like a rough assembly of everything. I am gonna paint it later on, and for these kind of machine, for the Kobu, which is essentially a really, nostalgic kind of robotic and steampunky machine, you can just basically hand brush. Airbrushing it will actually not work as well. Hand brushing will give you all the sense of like handmade quality to it, and you can see all the streak marks as if they were either battle damage or just overall like construction wise, like if they were painted over, and they actually look nicer if you paint it by hand. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start assembling. Get rid of that. Yep. If you look on the side, it's a really awkward position. But if you look at the front, it's okay. So it's gonna be a bit hard to paint later on due to all the small crevices, but we're gonna try it later on. And probably not in this video. I'm just gonna assemble everything together for this one. And then the rest is just for later on if I have more time. And if you guys actually want to see me hand paint the whole thing. Ooh, and these are softer kind of plastic, so might want to be careful with these, because if you push too hard, it's easy to dent the details on the parts, and then you have a problem. You need to actually fix that later on, which is more difficult. Usually they tell you to follow instructions, put the body together, put the arms and legs, and then assemble together. I usually like to build a torso and just expand from the torso later on. Using a box cutter, which, it works the same as an X-Acto knife, so you don't really have to get an X-Acto knife. Just get a really sharp box cutter and that'll be fine. And they're easier to replace, these box cutters. You just twist the front half off and you get almost like an entirely new one. You're not gonna see on the outside, so you don't really have to pay too much attention to it. Sometimes they do get in the way in terms of actual assembly later on, but most of the time you're okay just leaving some of these not completely finished. And for the armor outside, you definitely want a better finish. You kind of want to just cut it smoothly and then sand it down later on. But for these, you have a bit more leeway and you can just leave it as it is. I mean, this is a headrest, so definitely you want that to look good. But other than that, a lot of these pieces you just kind of leave it as it is. Want to paint it later on, I'm not going to put these foil stickers on because these can be painted on. These kind of gold pieces, they usually leave some pretty undesirable injection marks, so you do want to paint them over. As I was saying, these plastic are a little bit on the soft side. Bandai like to use these kind of plastic nowadays. They're easier to assemble. I assume they're cheaper and also more environmentally friendly. But they are easily bendable, so you do want to be careful. You don't want to damage the actual piece by pushing on it too hard. And now you have a cup. Not yet. And yes, you guys, let me know if you actually want to see me paint this live on YouTube. I can do that. As I said, some of you might find it boring, and I don't want to really just bore you guys' brain out. So if you really want me to do that, I'll do that. But metallic gold piece. Okay. This is the front cover. Yeah, if you guys really want to see my other models I've made in the past, you guys can leave a comment, leave a like, and yeah, just comment on what you want to see if I actually have it or not, because I don't want to boast, but I do have enough model around to actually share with people. If you want to see me talk more about just anime in general, then also leave a comment, and yeah, any kind of suggestion is welcome. I'm really happy to talk about these kind of things, because after all, they're my hobby, and there's nothing like sharing your hobby online with people. Okay, this is coming along, but it's giving me an idea. I mean, with all the trees running around, I may as well just cut the whole thing off and then start from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that after this. And just cut all the pieces out. That way we have a little bit more room. I tend to keep the polycap around just because they're easier to organize, but these things, you can always cut them out ahead of time and just... I used to actually make architectural models for real estate and architectural design firms. And yeah, did that for like a year or so. And that was fun while I was doing it, because it is my hobby, but then again, if you do your hobby as a job, you kind of get burnt out pretty quickly, and yeah, I didn't do that for too long. Wasn't planning on working on that as like a profession for the rest of my life, because, you know, I still want this as my hobby. But still, you know, one of the most important things when you're actually working and actually doing something similar to this is always workspace neatness. You kind of need at least a little bit of space, even though on a work related setting it's even more difficult, because you do have a lot of things going on, and for an architectural model there's a lot of other kind of things involved. There's like almost a diorama, and yeah, it's harder to find a workable space. But you kind of find a way to do as much as possible. You make as much room as possible, and yeah, just try to make it less cluttered. You can't avoid cluttering because of limited space and everything, but still, the less the better. gonna start by continuing building the model, and this wire supposedly is actually gonna go inside the cockpit. However, once if you put it in, it's difficult to actually take it out. So I'm gonna do that when I paint it. So I'm gonna leave this one out. However, this wire, which actually connects to here all the way inside, that's fair game. So I'm just gonna put this one on first. So this is a 1/20th scale Kobu Okami Ichio machine, which is the main character's machine, which is always white. He's color-coded white. And yeah, those are the claws they come with, open claw and the sword gripping claw. They didn't come with a claw guard, which is kind of unfortunate. You kind of have to take this one out and put the guard on the other one. Like in these kind of circumstances, Bandai is actually notoriously stingy. They don't like to give out extra stuff. I mean, it doesn't take them too much effort, but I guess some effort is effort. And they just want to do zero effort. And if you are a model maker, you would have a lot of gripe with Bandai. I mean, they do make some of your favorite models, but like still, with certain decisions, they're a big company. They don't care about ruining their reputation that much. So yeah, and there you go. There are some good articulation. Eyes can move. Both eyes can move, and this little hatch, it opens up, which allows you to open up the entire cockpit. It's easier to do on the side, which you can see the pilot inside. I don't know how well you can see that, but like, yeah. That's some nice feature for like a high grade. But it is a pricey high grade, so these two vents also open up to reveal some inner detail, so that's nice, obviously. Anything that moves is kind of nice. Arm only goes up that high, but it's a Kobu. It has shoulder arms, so obviously it only go up that high. Elbow only bends less than 90 degrees, but once again, with these clinky armors, you can't really do too much. Elbows do rotate, but they're on a ball joint, and I guess with this stubby little arms, you can't really do too much. But like, it's cute. Like, that's the whole thing. These things are round, they look funny, they look cute, they look outlandish, and that's the way people like them. And yeah, the arm guard moves a little bit, front piece moves a little bit, although it's prone to falling off, you don't want to do that too much. Side armor goes back and forth, they're on a ball joint, but like front and back movement is very tiny. And these skirts barely move at all, although they're on a hinge, so they don't move that much. Leg only goes up that much, which, yeah, once again, it's a really stubby pumpkin-like thing, so goes back pretty far. It bends at the knee, once again, less than 90 degrees, but hey, I think I said that quite a lot. And legs will go back and forth, but foot will go front, back, and a little bit front like this, so you can actually give it a almost quasi-kneeling pose if you really want. But they don't look that different, mostly because the body is so bulky. So, is it worth your money? Well, it really depends. With the nostalgia value added in, I mean, $60 is a little bit pricey. That's, I mean, Canadian dollars, obviously. This sells for about 40, a bit less than 40 American. And that's usually plus shipping, so that's okay. But still, it's on the pricier side for a high grade. But it has all these nice inner detail for a high grade. So, give or take. If you add in the nostalgia value, then yes, it is worth it. But if you don't, and you haven't really tried building that much models, and you just want to pick up a model, I will stay away from this one. Just because, you know, the amount of reward, the amount of expectation you get from other models like Gang. Even compared to that, this is like nothing. Like, I mean, this thing is like $10-ish, a little bit over $10. And this offers way more play value, and yeah, at 1/4 the price. I mean, obviously you want to pick up the Gang more so than the Kobu, but yeah, for people who grew up with Sakura Wars, you kind of have to get it. I mean, you're kind of obligated to actually get it. And yeah, just for a size comparison, that's how big it is. It's not too big. It's quite short and stubby. And for another comparison, I'll bring you one of my ships. That's like a 1/700 scale destroyer, like ship model. So average size for a high grade. Nothing too special, but for us who grew up with this, we love it either way. So anyways, guys, this is a review of the 1/20th scale Kobu Okami Ichio version. If you guys really want to see me paint this thing, just leave a like. You can subscribe to my channel. I talk about pretty much everything, not just model, but if you want, you can leave a comment. Just tell me, hey, do you want to show off how you paint these kind of things? I'm happy to actually paint this. And if anything, I'm probably gonna paint the Sakura version, because that one I already made, and I'm gonna paint that one if you guys want. Anyways, thank you guys. I guess I'll see you guys next time.